Hi, I'm Vernon L. Bowling, and welcome to another edition of Focus. As I hope you know, Focus has been on the air for over 40 years. We've been continuing to bring you, the African American community, problems, accomplishments, as well as successes that we've had within the African American community. Don't touch that remote. Matter of fact, you can get your pencils or papers together and write down some information that we're going to give to you that's going to be very important that you probably can use later. We'll be right back with more Focus after these messages.
Hi, I'm Calais Campbell of your Arizona Cardinals, and the season is here, so you better be watching. I'm talking about the water safety season, because a drowning can happen in just a few seconds, and we can't afford to lose this game.
That's right, Calais. I'm Phoenix Fire Chief Bob Kahn. The Arizona Cardinals and the Phoenix Fire Department have teamed up to remind you to always watch your kids around water and never swim alone.
Water safety season never ends. Please watch your kids around water.
Hey everybody, I'm Fatimah, and for the past 45 years, we have had a newspaper in Phoenix, Arizona, actually the state of Arizona, that has serviced the black community and actually anybody who wanted information about our community. And it's a family-run organization, and I am happy to say that I am with the current publisher. The newspaper's been handed down to the current publisher of the Arizona Informant, Clovis Campbell Jr. Clovis, we have been collaborators in regards to African American broadcasting since we've been here. And now Arizona Informant is 45 years old, and your father ran it, your uncle ran it, and now it's been passed down to you. So tell me about that process, and how did you want to be into newspapers? Is that something you wanted to do?
Absolutely not. It started out as my father and my uncle started in 1971. And the reason why they started is because my father had just got out of the legislature and was really disappointed in how they were covering black news and his actual introduction of bills and things. So he bought the newspaper for the total price of $1 and bought the name because that's all that was left of it, and started publishing it. It actually began publishing in '58 but stopped. And so they restarted publishing it then. And from there on, it's just turned into not only a passion for them, but for me as well. I initially started out delivering newspapers, cleaning the buildings up, all the things that the kids would do. So that kind of really makes you not want to get into the business. After college, I took some time off to try a few things on my own, and finally my dad said, come back and see if you like it. And I did, and since then, it's almost been 30 years I've been here now.
And you, I saw you the other day. You were on a panel. You were doing a panel. There was a panel discussion on the media, particularly our blacks' role in the media, blacks' portrayal in the media, and you did such a spectacular job. And I knew you've been involved in this newspaper for quite some time. You said you didn't really want to, but you have always also been involved in the legislature. So you have really followed in your father's footsteps.
It's almost by design, but not by design. I think it was just inevitable that I would do those things. And, I was just blessed to have a father who was, had such foresight and was so aggressive and so pro-black that I've taken on a lot of the same traits.
Yeah, you have. Now let's look at what's happening with the media now, particularly print media. We have the internet. We have access to any kind of news we could possibly want. So why do you continue on this road with print media, particularly with the costs, because it's not free to print a paper. So why do you continue on that road?
I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of people have talked about is print media necessary, and even more so, is the black media necessary? And
that would not have ever been my question.
But I know, it comes up.
No, but it does, right?
And the answer is yes, print media is necessary, but even more so, black media is necessary, and black newspapers are necessary. Because of the main thing is because nobody can tell our story the way we can. Secondly, because everything that we print, everything that we write, everything that we record, is recorded black history. So we're actually recording our history every time we print out a newspaper, and that goes for my partners around the country. And so when you talk about how our story is told and how we are depicted in the media, it's important that we do it from our own perspective. Otherwise, we'll get other folks' perspective on things, which will kind of skew history, and actually they'll start to tell the story the way they want it and the way they want it to have happened and the way it actually did happen.
Which is one of the questions that was asked at the panel, and that's in regards to telling our stories. And yet we don't have enough journalists, black journalists, that are being hired who get an opportunity to tell our stories. So our stories are told from a whole nother perspective, which is really not in our favor. So what can we do about that?
Well, I think one, we have to really start recruiting black journalists, but understanding that with the age, and we'll probably go into this a little bit later, all the new electronic devices, the different platforms that you can receive information from, that not only do they appreciate those types of information sources, but also the fact that the newspaper is there and how valuable that print document is, and especially how valuable that document is to the black community.
So why do you think that we don't have a lot of black journalists?
Well, you know,
or do we just not know about them?
I mean, they are there and they're training. I've been to several of the National Association of Black Journalists conferences.
Because you were the chair. You were the chair of the...
I was a newspaper publishers.
National
chair.
Newspaper Publishers Association.
Correct.
Now you are the chair emeritus.
Correct.
Right.
And so as the chair, I would go to speak on behalf of the black press to the journalist side, which is all of the students trying to get into journalism and those working in the journalism field now. One of the reasons why is because we really don't have the resources that some of the major news media outlets have as far as paying big salaries. And as you can see, a lot of those companies are downsizing, you know, cutting back on staff, cutting back on business space, cutting back on office space, because it's so much more easy to do virtual work. So we're trying to encourage students to start with us. And then you can, if you want to move on, you're always going to end up coming back to do some type of work with us anyway, because the national or the mainstream media is going to kind of constrain them as to what they can do. And we have a tendency to let them expand themselves a little more, write a little bit more about what's really going on in the community, not edit them so much. So we're always recruiting black journalists. They're out there, but they've got to know we're out here, because young people aren't reading newspapers as much as we'd like them to.
Why do you think that is? Well, but young people aren't reading. Not only newspapers, books, this is not an indictment on all young people, because I'm quite sure that there are many of you who are doing a lot of reading. But reading is not the pastime of choice for a lot of people, regardless to what their age is.
Well, you know, I think it's one, our fault as the black press, because we don't have stories that they're interested in reading about, and they don't see pictures of themselves. We have a tendency to write about those quote-unquote usual suspects in our community. You know, we talk about Jesse Jackson, or we talk about the president, or we talk about the governor or the mayor. But those people are on the news all the time. People like to see themselves. If you see people taking selfies all the time on their cell phones, that's what they see. And it's easy for them to see themselves on the news, on the camera, or on the telephone, because it's easy to take their pictures, but rarely do they see themselves in print. And I think the more they see themselves, the more they'll start to pick up the newspaper.
And then that goes back into, or goes to my next question in regards to the portrayal of us, because unfortunately it's not selfies that we're seeing in the media. I mean, if that was all we saw, that'd be a good thing. But we're seeing some very negative portrayals of ourselves in the media. And I must compliment Arizona Informant, because you don't really see that. You don't see, well, you hardly see any negative portrayal of us, or any negative portrayal. You'll tell the news, and you'll tell what's been happening, which is not necessarily so positive, but you're telling the facts as opposed to a negative image. What can we do to change that image, or at least change the stories or the narrative about us and that negative side of our community?
Well, I think that's something that the mainstream media has to deal with. I think all we can do is keep complaining about it. Unfortunately for mainstream media, if it bleeds, it reads. And so that's what they're trying to sell, is content that's sensational. Our goal is, because we're a weekly newspaper, so we come out after everything has happened, is to delve deeper into the stories, to talk about what actually happened, why it happened, what's going to happen next. And so when we talk about the portrayal of our folks, Our goal is to make sure that after we see all that negative stuff on TV and in the white media, which it is, we want to portray our folks in a positive light, talk about those champions that we have, talk about those people who have been promoted, talk about our young students doing well, not about the ones that they talk about on TV. So at the end of the day, you're going to always end up with two sides. I think that the mainstream media is never going to change, but it's incumbent upon the black media to make sure that we do the stories the way we see them.
So we are going to go into this later with one of the folks that you're working with, Luana. We're going to go into exactly what you're doing now to expand the Arizona Informant to reach a younger audience. And I'm really excited about us having that discussion. Audrey is going to be talking to Luana about that.
Well, as those platforms came out, when I came on board as chair of the Newspaper Publishers Association, now it's been almost 6 years ago. One of the things that we came out with I found out was that all of our advertisers wanted us to have something in the digital space. Well, out of the 225 newspapers we had as members at that time, only about 45 of them actually had digital capabilities. Fortunately, we were one of them. And so what I did was start doing training for all of our publishers, having workshops to make sure that everybody had a website, make sure that they were all learning about social media so that when the time came, they would be prepared. And the time is now. We went from 45 newspapers to 190 newspapers and now have digital capabilities. We're taking digital advertising for all of our publications now, something that we didn't have 6, 7 years ago. And understanding that the young generation, the millennials, get their information from so many different platforms, but our goal is to make them utilize all the platforms and kind of continue to do their stuff on digital space, but also appreciate the fact that, hey, my picture's in the Arizona Informant or the Washington Informer or the LA Sentinel. Never been there before. And you'd be amazed how many young people get excited when they see themselves in print for the first time.
Now, you are out there in the community, Clovis. You really are. People know you. You know the community. But how do you get your stories other than you being out there? How do you get these stories?
Well, I think that we've done a pretty good job 45 years in the community of people seeing that we cover stuff that they want to read about and not just the national news stories. And so people know that if they come to us with story ideas, then we're more than likely going to run them, especially good stories, stories that have a good feeling, stories that show accomplishments, stories that show some people doing things in the community with a positive feel to it. So it's easy for us to get stories. My biggest thing now is we just brought in, last night I had 8 interns here from Cronkite School of Journalism. And the thing about it, all young black women. I'm looking for some black men right now, but they were all young black women.
Looking for some black men
to be journalists as well.
Oh, I thought you said I had 8 black women looking for black men.
No, they were all interns.
Interns.
But we're looking for some young black men.
So you're looking for black men. They weren't looking for
they
them.
weren't.
Let's clear that
Well,
up.
they probably were, but I don't know.
That wasn't the discussion.
No, so we're looking for more interns.
Are there any black male journalism students at Cronkite?
There are a couple. We have 2 guys. Well, one guy's actually not even in college yet. He's a high school student that's working with us. And we have one other young man who's at Cronkite School of Journalism.
Because these young kids in high school, too, are sharp.
Very
so
sharp.
you can kind of go out to the high schools and find them, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, now does any of the high schools have a journalism program? Doesn't South have one, or didn't they used to?
Well, they're going towards that. They just turned over to be sort of a magnet-type school to have different programs in journalism, mathematics, etc. So there are not many out there that specialize in journalism, so we actually have to go and ask, are you working on your school newspaper, or are you working on the yearbook? Would you like to get involved?
Well, these young folks who are doing these blogs, I mean, they're just like, I have a young woman who was writing a blog for my website, and she was one of my Rites of Passage students, and she is doing she is an incredible writer. Maybe I should send it to you too, because I got to pull teeth.
Well,
no, sit down and write.
The
but
biggest
she's a
thing
great
is
writer.
that there are millions of bloggers out there.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between a blogger and a trained journalist.
That's true.
So, we have to cross that fine line. We have to teach a lot, which is no problem. But then you kind of discourage some of those folks who have trained themselves as journalists when you start bringing in bloggers too.
So no, because I know, Tony, you got to keep me abreast on what time it is, because I can go in. I think that it's. You said wrap it up.
Yeah, go for a break. Call for a break.
Okay. Tony said go for a break. We'll be right back. Because I want you to explain the difference.
Hi, I'm Calais Campbell of your Arizona Cardinals, and the season is here, so you better be watching. I'm talking about the water safety season, because a drowning can happen in just a few seconds, and we can't afford to lose this game.
That's right, Calais. I'm Phoenix Fire Chief Bob Kahn. The Arizona Cardinals and the Phoenix Fire Department have teamed up to remind you to always watch your kids around water and never swim alone.
Water safety season never ends. Please watch your kids around water.
Welcome back. I'm Fatimah Halim, and with me is the publisher of the Arizona Informant newspaper, who's been with us for 45 years, and he's not even 45 yet.
You're way too kind.
It's Clovis Campbell Jr. And when we left Clovis, we were talking about blogging and journalism. You said that there's really a difference between a blogger and a journalist. What is the difference?
Well, two things that really stand out. One is a journalist is a trained journalist that has actually gone to college and received a degree in marketing or in journalism, so they know what they're talking about. They know the standards of journalism. They've been taught all of those things. Whereas a blogger is more of a person who just decided to get on his own, pick up a Twitter account, a Facebook account, Instagram account, and start talking about issues. Now, they're both two different types of things. They do some of the same things, but you can tell the difference in one and the other because the journalist has more traditional things in their information that they provide, whereas a blogger may be a little less stringent on some of the real details and maybe less factual, whereas a journalist will do more of their due diligence.
So they'll do a little bit more research.
Absolutely.
They'll go delve into the story, find out what are the facts of the story. A blogger it comes from just my personal opinion.
Personal opinion and some hearsay.
And some hearsay. And that's okay because you're blogging.
Exactly.
And you're not the authority.
Exactly.
Whereas a journalist has to, like you said, do a little bit more due diligence, has to be a little bit more factual, a lot more factual.
And that's the reason why we have more journalists than bloggers, is because they've done their due diligence, and we have liability standards that we have to hold up to. So if something comes up and we're doing something wrong, we have to be accountable for it.
Yeah, so there's a difference between the blogger, who can say anything.
Exactly.
Freedom of speech, and then the newspaper. So you mentioned that you get most of your students from Cronkite School, which is downtown, not too far from here.
Absolutely.
And you have some professors there who forward you some of their students. Where else do you get your interns from?
We try to work with the community colleges, Phoenix College, South Mountain Community College, Gateway, Glendale, etc. All have some extraordinary students who will probably more than likely move up onto the Cronkite School, but if they're ready to do some things with us now, we're ready to have them now. I mean, the main thing is that we're trying to teach them every aspect of newspaper publishing and the journalism field. So not only will they learn to write, take pictures, do some of the editorial work. We even teach them some about the advertising, the graphic design, the video stuff. So we do the gamut now. We want to make sure that our students, our people can be able to do anything as it relates to the business.
What an incredible experience these young folks are getting here.
Well,
You should have had more than 8. You should have, but I guess you can't even accommodate, or there's more, but too many.
No, the more the merrier. There's always opportunity to get more students because they have different interests. And what we're trying to do is get different news stories from different types of sources. And all they can do is bring us new stuff we haven't had before.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. Well, I'm looking forward to finding out exactly what your future is looking like. And we're going to be talking to Luana about that. So when we come back, you will be talking about the future of the Arizona Informant and how they're going digital, as well as staying in print.
Absolutely.
Because that's very important. So we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Calais Campbell of your Arizona Cardinals, and the season is here, so you better be watching. I'm talking about the water safety season, because a drowning can happen in just a few seconds, and we can't afford to lose this game.
That's right, Calais. I'm Phoenix Fire Chief Bob Kahn. The Arizona Cardinals and the Phoenix Fire Department have teamed up to remind you to always watch your kids around water and never swim alone.
Water safety season never ends. Please watch your kids around water.
Good afternoon. My name is Audrey Jenkins with Real Women Reveal LLC, and we are downtown Phoenix at the Arizona Informant. I am happy to be here with Luana Fain, the digital reporter for the Arizona Informant. So, are you excited about the new digital era that the Informant is going to? That's what I've been hearing a lot of buzz about from you lately.
Yes, I'm actually really excited about where the Arizona Informant, where we're going to be taking it, especially with the younger generation and digital. We all know that digital is not going anywhere.
No.
So now it's time to brand the Informant to the digital world and also bring the younger generation in full-fledged.
So, the Arizona Informant has been around for 45 years, at least, or plus, 45 years. Why do you feel that it's important right now to bring digital reporting in?
Well, number one, I remember the Arizona Informant when I first got here and was going to the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism. They definitely have a very credible name. They've covered issues that are a lot different than a lot of different media sources. I mean, Clovis Campbell focuses on local and giving individuals the opportunity to see their picture in the paper. And you don't get that a lot of times when it comes down to media. Well, now we want to take it on to a whole nother level when you're dealing with digital by including the Facebook, including the Twitter, making sure that different stories are up on the website so that it can go national. A lot of times when you just get the paper, it's only hitting certain households, which is an older generation. So now we want the millenniums to have them come in and branch this out to a whole nother level.
And that's kind of where I was going to go to with the next question. Who do you feel that you're capturing? And we know it's the millennials.
Yes.
Do you feel that you're missing a big demographic because the digital portion is not there? The Arizona Informant, I know of the state of Arizona, the longest running newspaper in Arizona. Do you feel that it's been a big issue missing that piece of the digital part of the Arizona Informant?
Yeah, I do. I feel like it's lacked for the younger generation. Everybody that I've spoken to and I've done feature pieces on as far as, you know, younger individuals, they've never heard of the Informant. And the reason why, it's not because the Informant's not a credible paper, it's not digitally able for you to be able to find it. I mean, you go to the Shade Room or you go to TMZ, and if you notice, they're not sending out papers. Everything is digital through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and several other social media platforms.
So what's the biggest plan for marketing and advertising the digital aspect of the Informant? How can we help get the word out to make sure that now the millennials will know, and other people who may just be more savvy to digital reporting? How do we help get that word out? How do we help the Informant do it?
Number one, you're going to see a lot more stories on the Facebook and Twitter page.
Okay.
That's going to give you direct links so that you can read these stories. So share those stories.
Okay.
You know, comment on those stories. Press like when you actually see that on the website. So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two is you can also advertise with the Informant now online. So that's a way to get the word out. We'll share your events. We'll share your posts. If there's something that you would like us to cover, you know, reach out to one of us. Myself and Jadine Cobb, we're the two individuals that are going to be leading the digital reporting and as far as the younger generation, getting those news stories out. And most importantly, this is all about the Black community and keeping it local here in Arizona.
Okay, so we're keeping it local in Arizona. With being digital, do you think that may catapult the Arizona Informant to another level with the digital?
It can take it to a whole nother level as far as if we have any type of stories that actually go viral.
Okay.
So we've gone from a level of maybe getting 1 or 2 likes to 24 likes on stories.
Okay.
So we have to keep branching off and keep growing into a whole nother level. But the problem is that it takes everybody.
Right.
It's not just, if I have 100,000 followers, it's not just me that can put a post out there. I need it to end up hitting somebody like yourself and other individuals out there by sharing the post.
Okay, so we have to share the post, we have to like it, we have to make comments on it to engage each of our followers.
Yes.
Like you said, if you have 20 people commenting on them, all those 20 people may have a different setting followers, so therefore it's getting out. So we just have to be a little more verbal on some of the digital posts and things like that.
It's a domino effect, as I would say. Anything that you do on social media, it's all based off of the engagement and your following. A lot of people don't understand social media can make you or break you. It all depends on how you know how to use it. If you use it in a positive light, which the Arizona Informant will be doing, then it can take this paper to a whole nother level. But we need the community's help. So if you see a story that you like, if you have an event that's going on and you'd like us to come out there and cover it, I mean, we're going to be doing more videos because, again, when it comes down to the digital reporting and just digitally all together, the younger generation doesn't have a lot of time. They're not going to read the whole paper. What they are going to do is if they see a 1-minute video or a 5-minute video, they're going to click on play to get their information. And, you know, our hopes is that some of these stories go viral so that local individuals like yourself and other people in the community will get the respect and the exposure that they deserve.
The exposure. So I believe with the Informant being around for 45 years, now going digital, it's a whole nother 45 years.
Yes,
in
more
the
than
making.
45 years.
Right, in the making.
I tell people this all the time. The Arizona Informant is a very credible paper. There is no way that they should only be having 4,000 or 5,000 likes. There's more than that as far as African Americans out here in Arizona on, you know, just in a local scale here in Phoenix. So we have to come together and we need to support. We are in a time right now in our community that if we don't come together and we don't support Black media and support other Black entrepreneurs, we're going to continue to deal with the situations that we deal with.
Perfect, perfect. Well, you heard it. Thank you so much, LaWanna, our digital reporter. Thank you, Arizona Informant. We look forward to seeing those digital stories very soon.
Well, there you got it. You have the future of the Arizona Informant. And I'd like to say thank you, Clovis, for allowing us to have access to your facility, to talk to your people. And I'm so glad to see that the Arizona Informant will be with us for at least another 45 years and more. How would one get a hold of you?
Well, you can reach us at our newspaper office, phone number 602-257-9300. You can go to our website, ArizonaInformant.com, or you can follow us on Facebook and Twitter, Instagram, and I think there's a thing called
Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Okay.
That's what it is.
That's why you got the young folks.
Absolutely.
Good. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate being here and look forward to seeing you again soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So come back again next week when Focus continues.
Thank you for joining us for another edition of Focus. And if you'd like to contact us, if there's a topic you'd like to see us present or someone you'd like us to talk to, the information is right up on the screen. We'll see you next week, same station, same time, when Focus continues.